Welcome to Compass Points, the weekly podcast for CompassKnox.com. CompassKnox.com is your best source for news and politics in Knoxville and Knox County. If you'd like to learn more about the topics discussed on today's podcast, go to CompassKnox.com and subscribe for in-depth coverage and much more.
Welcome to Compass Points, a podcast about Knoxville and Knox County government. Politics, business, education, anything else really that kind of, catches our fancy. I'm Scott Barker, the editor of Compass, which you can find at CompassKnox.com. We're a subscription-based website and newsletter, and we report on all those topics. So we are recording Compass Points in the studios of Barbarian Productions in Rocky Hill, and Lord Seth Barber, our producer, is here with me. Seth, how are you doing today?
Hanging in. I survived the weather last night pretty well out here on the west side of town. Crazy night for weather. It was quite interesting to just kind of watch what was going on around town and check in with some friends that are in different places and see how they were doing it. I could say that at least for my circle, everybody's good, and I hope everybody else out there is as well.
Yeah, this we're recording this on Friday, the 7th of February, and we did have some major storms last night in the area. I live in North Knoxville. Our house was kind of on the southern edge of the bad storms. We got lots and lots of heavy rain, but not too much damage. Although there was a neighbor of mine had done some trimming work and had their brush pile out in front of their house, and it washed down to not exactly block, but get in the middle of our intersection. So, hopefully that will be of course. Here you go. We've got thunderstorms and 70-degree weather in the middle of February.
Right. It's like we're surprised that there's craziness when it's been as warm as it was all week this week.
Yeah. That's it's just crazy weather. It's crazy times. So. It kind of is fitting for the times we're living in. Okay. We'll be going through some things. We're going to be talking about some of the stories that ran at CompassKnox.com last week. And first of all, one of the things we're going to talk about is we started a new feature called the Business Roundup, and we'll talk about it a little bit. The Knox County, the Bassmaster Classic will be returning to Knoxville in 2016. They made that announcement last week, and we're going to start off with the school board approving a new K-8 school for the area just northwest of downtown Mechanicsville, Beaumont, Lonsdale, Westview, that area. It's one of the first. It's uncommon for them to build a K-8 school, but they have decided to do that on the campus of Rural High School, which has been closed for several decades now. It's in a beautiful location at the very top of what's called Beaumont Ridge. They selected that for the location for the school from among 5 finalists. The school is going to cost about $66 million, 1,600 students, and it will require the closure of complete closure of 2 schools: Maynard Elementary in Mechanicsville and Beaumont Magnet Academy in Beaumont. Westview Elementary School will be converted into a purely pre-K facility. A lot of people in the communities are kind of upset that they're going to be closing these kind of small neighborhood schools. The school system, had pointed out that they could offer more. A couple of things. First of all, they can offer more programs and services at a larger school. That's just kind of a given that they can do that. The other benefit it would have that they pointed out that really actually didn't get a whole lot of. They talked about it a little bit, but really hasn't gotten enough attention or as much attention as some of the other elements of it. And that is it helps the middle school students, because there is no middle school in this area of town. The kids that go to the 4 elementary schools in this area, when they go to middle school, they go to 4 different schools, either Bearden, Northwest Middle, the Willow Springs Middle, or even Vine Middle. And the school system showed this chart of the feeder patterns, and it looked like a spider web, because some kids would go to, some kids from the same school could go to 3 different middle schools depending on where they lived within their district, and then the high school feeder patterns from there were even crazier. So
because you could have some kids that go from the Mechanicsville area out to Bearden Middle, that's near west. It's on the near west side of town, and then back to Fulton.
Yeah, well,
or crisscross somewhere in between. Yeah, that does seem like a pretty spastic, for lack of a better word, movement.
Yeah, it's like I said, it looks like the chart looks like either a spider web or kind of a shattered window almost thing. So it's so that's and now these students will stay in their neighborhoods through their middle school years.
And they were talking about a pretty aggressive timeline for this too, as far as
they're going to be able to get started fairly soon. They can go ahead and start designing. They can go ahead, and one of the things is the rural high school site is owned by Knox County. Knox County is going to give that to the school system. The school system in return is going to give the county, Maynard and Beaumont, those schools. We don't know yet what the county would plan to do with them, but there's that land swap. That was a real attractive thing for the school system too, because they don't have to pay cash for the property.
Yeah,
and all their other options would require them to spend money to buy the property. One option that they looked at was the historic section of Knoxville College, which is, it's we've talked about Knoxville College a lot. Financially troubled, lots of debt, very few students now, lost accreditation, in the late 90s, I believe, and they still haven't been able to get it back yet. The property, Knoxville College property, is 50-something acres. It's divided into 2. The 20 acres where the historic administration buildings were, the one that burned recently, was there. The school system noted that they didn't name these locations that they looked at, but it was pretty obvious that that's what this was, and they confirmed that to Angela Dennis, who is our correspondent who wrote this story, and but they confirmed that they did look at the site, but there are environmental issues. In order to get the site, they'd have to pay off the debt, which is several $1 million that they carry. They also have liens from the IRS and the city of Knoxville, all kinds of things that they would have to do. One kind of interesting aside, there's a developer in town named Victor Jernigan, who said that he had been in touch with the firm that holds the debt for Knoxville College, and that they were willing to sell the debt, which would enable whoever bought the debt to basically condemn the school and foreclose on it. And he didn't get much of a hearing. He spoke at both at last Monday's work session and last Thursday's voting session. but they'd already pretty much decided on the rural side at that point, in part because of the cost. But this school will be one of the things is all the schools in Maynard Elementary in Mechanicsville, Beaumont Magnet Academy, and Westview's students will all go there from kindergarten through 8th grade. The kids who are most of the kids who are currently in Lonsdale, currently zoned for Lonsdale, will go to Lonsdale through their elementary school years. Then at their middle school years, they will go to this new school. So it will keep these kids from changing schools. At least when you're doing one section there, and that was really attracted to John Butler, who is the school board member who represents this area. It's the 1st District, which also includes East Knoxville, and he is a minister. He's got a church in Mechanicsville. He's very familiar with the area, and he is wholeheartedly in support of this, and that helped with the other members as well. And so he gave a full-throated endorsement of the school, and like I said, they've got they're going to be getting the land within a month or so. I mean, it's going to be pretty quick. They'll be able to do the design work, get started. Within a few months, they'll be able to get started on the construction. And they're shooting for 2028 to open. And there's still some unresolved things, like what the county's going to do with Maynard and Beaumont. Those schools, Beaumont especially, is Maynard is an old building. It's a historic building. So there are some things they can do with that. It's in the middle of Mechanicsville. The Beaumont is going to be kind of an interesting thing too, because it's adjacent to the Western Heights housing community. There's going to be a project that the city, or KCDC, the city's development arm, got a $40 million grant to start a project called Transforming Western, where they're going to completely renovate, replace, build new housing in the Western Heights area. That's one of the reasons they wanted to build a new school, because it's going to add about 400 school-age residents to this area. And it's right by Beaumont Elementary School. And of course, Beaumont wasn't in the original plans, because it's a school. It was a school, or it is a school, and it wasn't included in the whole Transforming Western planning, except them noting that it was a school and it would be integrated into the rest of the community. But now there can be anything can happen with that building, that property. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how it gets transformed into a component of Transforming Western, if it does. And the discussion among school board members, like I said, Butler pretty much carried the day on that one. Patricia Fontenot Ridley was had some concerns. One of the big concerns here is a lot of these people just want to keep their small schools, and that's the only. They did a lot of community outreach. There's 8 public meetings. They had a community survey. Most of the residents who gave their input, one of the things they wanted was to keep their smaller schools. They didn't get that. They got just about everything else they wanted. And people in West Haven are are upset was they didn't realize that their school would be the elementary grades would go away and they'd have to go to a different school, and so they said that there were a couple of people who spoke at the Thursday's voting meeting and said, hey, if we'd known, we would have answered the survey questions a little differently. But the school system is going to move forward with that. At some point, they will be. You'll start seeing some demolition work up there. There's a storage facility for the county up there now. It'll have to be taken down and the site prepped, and within about 3 years there will be a school on top of that ridge again, and so that will be a big change for this community, which is an economically disadvantaged community. It's and it will be, it will be a real transformative experience for all the students who go to school in this area. So that happened. Another thing that happened this week or last week was the announcement on Wednesday that the Bassmaster Classic will return. I don't fish myself, but lots of people do, and lots of people like fishing, and it's big business. This will be the third time that the Bassmaster Classic has been in Knoxville.
It's the Super Bowl of fishing, as they say. The big game. Dang it! I got to pay some royalty fees now.
No, at the press conference on Wednesday, if I had $1 for every time I heard the phrase Super Bowl of fishing, I would be a rich man. Let's just say that they like to use that phrase, but there was a lot of excitement. This brings in thousands of fans. In 2023, the last time it was in town, they set the tournament record for attendance. They're hoping to top that in 2026. It brought in $35 million plus in economic impact, economic activity in the area. It is focused a lot on downtown. Now, of course, these the people who come are staying in hotels all over the place, but all of the onshore activities are concentrated downtown within walking distance of one another. The boats launch from Volunteer Landing. When they come back, they go at the end of the day. They go and do their weigh-ins, their fish at Thompson Bowling Arena, and then the other things that are going on will be at the convention center. And they're going to have, they have basically a big convention at the same time. They have vendors there and a lot of activity there. It's going to be a lot of things for people to do while the anglers are out there actually catching fish. So the one thing that I found out, I did not realize this is what a selling point that is, to have a compact downtown. This year's event's going to be in Fort Worth, Texas, and the weigh-in spot is an hour from the lake, an hour's drive, and it was pointed out that that's not real healthy for the fish they catch, because the Bassmaster Classic, all these bass tournaments are catch and release events. I mean, they once they weigh in the fish, they release them back into the lake. But if a fish dies on the way, because it's in the it's spending a couple hours on the road between the time it leaves they get it out of the water and get it weighed in and then get it back. So, but anyway, downtown restaurants and hotels obviously will be doing pretty big business down there. I mean, this is it's bigger than more people than a UT football weekend, so big a big event. Visit Knoxville recruited them again. That they have a really good relationship with Bass, the organization that runs the Bassmaster Classic, and their CEO is actually from Knoxville. That was interesting to learn. And then there is a local there could be a local competitor in this. There's a professional fisherman named Robert G, who was down there, and I got to meet Robert and talk to him. He is in his second year on the pro circuit. He qualified for this year's event in Fort Worth. He's hoping they haven't had qualifications yet for the Knoxville event. He's hoping to get that one. He'll have home lake advantage there. Although he did say that because of technology and everything, the fish finding technology they have, sonar and all that jazz, it's not much of an advantage. But he would like to sleep at home instead of in a hotel room when he goes. And he was down there. His boat was down there. It was pretty sleek thing. Visit Knoxville. Got this to come to Knoxville. They are also one of his major sponsors. So the Visit Knoxville logo is spread all over the boat with tons of others. It's one of it's like NASCAR. There's all kinds of sponsorships that go into fishing, and it's kind of needed. G told me that his boat and trailer costs upwards of $100,000, and equipment costs upwards of $100,000. So it's not cheap to be in that. But he was very gracious to spend some time talking with me down there. He grew up here, went to Christian Academy, played baseball there, then went to UT, got on there. The UT has a fishing team, which I did not realize, and he was on the fishing team. That kind of got the competitive bug in him going, and I asked him about, what's the differences between him and you're a recreational fisherman over on, putting in at Concord Park or whatever. And he said, he just said time. He fishes 200 days a year. And so, he says his instincts are pretty well honed anyway. He's a local guy. He is going to try his best to qualify for the tournament in 2026 when it comes to Knoxville. You'll be hearing, I know, a lot about that. We cover things like this more from the economic impact angle of it, and it will be substantial, and a lot of people are very excited. Both mayors Kincannon and Jacobs were at the press conference. They're very excited about it. They're excited because they can watch. They can sit in their offices in the city county building, look down to Volunteer Landing, and watch the boats fan out over Fort Loudon Lake and then some go to Tellico Lake as well to catch East Tennessee's bass. So you'll hear a lot more about that in the coming year. It is going to be in March of 2026. Another thing that we had in the website this week is we started a new feature. We're going to do a monthly business roundup at the end of every month. Kind of the business news, a lot of the business news of the month. We have correspondent Gerald Witt, who puts that together for us. It's all various odds and ends from the tidbits from the business world. For instance, he wrote this month, it ran last week. A bit on frog juice, which they make kombucha, which is a drink that similar a fermented tea essentially is what it is. They bought a farm so they could get all their ingredients here, and it's they have a tea house out on Sutherland Avenue. So their news was they're basically going to be farm to table, as it were, with their kombucha, and then other items he hit on. He wrote about Codapet, was an end of life care for pets at your home. So if it's kind of hospice for your pets, if you're instead of taking them to the vet or anything like that, they can come to your home where it's more comfortable for you and your pet, probably. Also wrote about Jonathan Mayfield being promoted to the presidency of Home Federal Bank. So that's a homegrown bank here. So anyway, all kinds of business news like that. He'll be covering that all that once a month for us. We cover some business during the course of the month, but this basically we'll have most of the business news for the month in one location. There are actually two features we started. We talked about the other one, which started at the beginning of January, and our second second one started last week as well. It's Arts Roundup. Actually, it's an arts preview. Correspondent Matthew Everett puts that together. It's a preview of art exhibits at KMA, the McClung Museum on the UT campus, various galleries around town. So you can, if you are an art lover, you can take a look at that at the beginning of every month and see what's on exhibit in Knoxville. At least a curated version. We don't. It's not exhaustive, but we like to highlight several exhibits that are going on around town. So those are actually two features that we've launched early this year, and we have high hopes for them. So if you're into the arts, you're into business, you would be in the right place at CompassKnox.com. We also, as I mentioned earlier, we have a newsletter, goes out every weekday. The subscribers, a lot of subscribers tell us that the newsletter is the best feature that they get. They pops in their inbox at 6 a.m. every day. It's the first thing they look at. And they can kind of get a good idea of what's going on in the community by reading that. Just very briefly, some of the things that were in last week's newsletters. The City Council passed a grant request from KPD for $1.75 million, and it will it's going to help fund their co-responder program. If they get it, it's an opioid abatement grant. So it's money from opioid lawsuit settlements. It's supposed to go to drug mitigation programs. The co-response unit, as we've talked about often, goes into that they are respond to mental health crises, and it's an officer and a mental health professional together. They go out and do that. Well, they're also going to add a kind of a victim liaison position with this money if they get it, and it will be split between the co-response program and the department's drug death task force. So they're hoping to be able to get that. One of the things that kind of came out during the city council meeting last week is they're they're supposed to get permission from city council before they apply for grants. What they do is they ask for permission to apply and accept the money, so it only comes before council once. Well, the deadline already passed. KPD went ahead and submitted it anyway, and so they kind of got a retroactive approval from council, which did not go over well with some members of council and the members of the public. In fact, there was some shouting from people too. Mayor Kincannon ejected a couple of people from the audience for yelling and speaking out of turn. It got really testy. Councilwoman Amelia Parker got argued with the mayor a little bit about her tactics, and so that gave some drama to the city council meeting. Another thing that had to do with KPD at the council meeting was, and you didn't realize that it did just by looking at the agenda and the material that came along with that, but the council has to approve the Downtown Knoxville Alliance's budget for the year. That the Alliance used to be known as the Central Business Improvement District, or CBID. It's funded by a special assessment on downtown property owners. So their budget isn't part of the regular city budget. They have their own budget, their own board approved this, sent it on. But one of the things, they've got a line item in there for safety, but the details in that were that they're going to buy 2 horses for KPD for the KPD's new mounted patrol effort. That'll bring the total number of horses in the unit to 4. KPD already bought 2 using grant money, and so there'll be a 4-horse and rider unit. Mostly it'll be, one of the reasons that they said it would be justified to go through the Downtown Alliance is that most of the time that they'll be deployed downtown. Major events that happen downtown, World's Fair Park, Market Square, parades, things like that. They will be, at those locations there. Chief Paul Noel, mentioned that lots of cities have mounted patrols, and he came from New Orleans where they have a large mounted patrol unit, and of course they have to work Mardi Gras and the Bourbon Street area, so they're a lot more active probably than they'll be here in Knoxville. But
right, they're working up the Super Bowl right now.
Yeah,
2 times in one episode I said Super Bowl. I got to pay extra money.
Boy, I tell you what. Yeah, you ought to be on the NFL payroll.
Yeah.
But well, again, there were still some objections to that. One of the things that Parker, the councilwoman, brought up is that some people in the African American community do not look at mounted patrols the same way that others would, as a kind of a just being there for visibility and outreach, going to community events and letting the kids pet the flank of the horse and that kind of thing, because the long and shameful history of mounted police in the United States, being deployed against African Americans, and so she did want to make that point, that it wasn't that mounted police officers aren't universally cherished by the public. So other things that we had in the newsletter that we help keep people informed about: Jeff Lyash CEO of TVA, announced he would be retiring by the end of the year. He's been the TVA CEO for 6 years, kind of helped move the utility away from coal and toward nuclear power. He's going to be remembered that that's probably it. He was also during President Trump's first term was one of Trump's whipping boys for a little bit, because he is the highest paid federal employee, makes a little bit more than $10 million a year, which sounds, how could a public employee make $10 million a year? It sounds horrible. But one of the things is TVA is unique in that it is a public corporation. They don't use federal funds. They're not on the federal budget. All their revenues pay for everything that TVA does, and they have to compete with the private sector for engineers, executives like Lyash and others. So the salaries there are much larger than most federal salaries. But then again, like I said, it's a fairly unique arrangement there that, of course, dates back to the New Deal in the Great Depression. So, but Lyash will be leaving sometime between now and the end of the year, whenever the TVA board can name a replacement. Also, one other thing that I wanted to chat about that was notable from last week is School Board Chair Betsy Henderson got lots of pushback from her appearance at during the special session of the Legislature. She went to the House Education Committee meeting that was held during that session and talked about her support for school vouchers, which did not go over well with a lot of people in the community who thought it was improper for the chair of the Public School Systems Board in Knox County to talk about support for private school vouchers. Now, Henderson did go, when she spoke at the meeting, she said that she acknowledged that she was the chair of the Knox County School Board, but she was speaking on an individual, not as the board chair, which did two things. One thing is it let all of the people, the legislators there, know that
she's the chair of the third largest school board in the state.
and she does support vouchers. And it's it is an unusual thing. The School Boards Association statewide oppose vouchers. A lot of other school boards in the state came out in opposition. In Knox County, there's a 5-4 Republican majority. They did not pass. They were going to add support for vouchers, or the Republican side wanted to add support for vouchers to their list of legislative priorities. It did not pass. So Knox County was not on the record. The Knox County Board of Education was not on the record supporting vouchers. Henderson has experienced quite a bit of blowback, lots of stuff on social media. At both last Monday's work session for the school board and Thursday's voting session, there were people who got up during public forum, said that she was that what she did was improper, that she should resign or be removed from office. Then Thursday night, it was interesting. After the meeting was over and before the storms hit, she went to Facebook to basically defend herself. One thing about these public forums at public meetings in the if it's something that's not on the agenda. This obviously wasn't on the agenda. People have their say, and generally there's no interaction with the office holders at those meetings. So she didn't respond at the meeting, but she did go on Facebook and basically said, "Hey, listen, people, I can support both. I can support public schools." I said, "I'm a mom. I've got kids in public schools. We've increased funding for the public schools while I've been on the board. I can be a supporter of public schools and support school choice for others who would want to send their kids to private schools." She didn't judging from the comments afterwards. Her supporters liked that, liked her response. Her opponents didn't sway too many of those. So it will be interesting to see how Henderson manages going forward. Her fellow school board members haven't publicly discussed her testimony in the education committee, but rest assured that the Democrats did not like it at all, and the Republicans at the very least tolerated it. But it'll be interesting to see how and if it affects her leadership moving forward. We also had a bit about an effort called Advance 865, which is a school system initiative with Tennessee Achieves to get 70% of Knox County students to move on to post-secondary, either education or job training. The goal was 70% by 2024. They hit the goal. That also includes military service, so 73. Taken all together, 73% at least have all that. They met that goal and promptly increased the goal to 80%. So by 2030. So, and one final note: talked to Claudia Caballero, who is the executive director of Centro Hispano, which is a nonprofit that provides services to the Latino community here, which is about 30,000 strong. It's a major slice of the demographic pie in Knox County, because of the Trump administration's decisions to start rounding up people who are undocumented in other cities so far, Chicago most notably, and removing the protection once afforded by schools and churches. Immigration Customs Enforcement can now go to those places and make arrests if they want to. And Governor Bill Lee's persuading the legislature to create an immigration enforcement arm in state government. Caballeros told me that there's a lot of fear in the Hispanic community, and they're seeing twice as many people as normal at this point. They get about $500,000 in federal funding that obviously would be at risk in the administration. They're trying to raise money and talked about the fear in the community that is very real. These are, like I said, it's 30,000 people in Knoxville. Obviously, not all of them are undocumented, and many of those who are doing vital jobs in our community that no one else will do. They're washing dishes and cooking in restaurants. They're roofers and carpenters and laborers in in the construction industry. They're the agriculture, all kinds of occupations that quite frankly a lot of Americans just don't want to do for any amount of money, and so it will be something to keep track of, to see if and when the immigration crackdown hits Knox County, how that affects not only the Latino population, but the population as a whole, and how that will impact our whole community. And anyway, those are some of the things that you would have, if you're not a subscriber, you would have already known about. So next week we've got a few things that we're going to be covering as well. That we know we're going to be covering is the news business. You don't always know what's coming up. We didn't know anything about the Bassmaster Classic announcement until the middle of the week last week. So this week we do know Governor Bill Lee is going to be giving his State of the State address on Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. The State of the State address is where he announces his budget priorities and kind of unveils the spending plan for the upcoming fiscal year. The catchphrase on all these types of speeches is "the state of the state is strong." That will be, I almost guarantee that is a line that will be in the speech, because it's in almost all state of the state or state of the nation kind of State of the Union, types of addresses. Anyway, that will be broadcast. People can watch that if they want. We'll also be reporting on it. Then also next week, the Planning Commission meets on Thursday, 1:30 in the small assembly room of the City County building. The usual assortment of rezonings, development plans, uses on review, all of those development nitty-gritties that the Planning Commission takes care of. One item that's going to be on there is the new stadium, Covenant Health Park, as we should start calling it. They are presenting their sign master plan. They have to get approval for the street-facing signage around the stadium, and so their plan is going to be coming before the Planning Commission. They don't need to have approval for all of those advertising signs on the outfield fence and those types of things, but they do on the exterior. And there's going to be a lot of exterior things there. You've got there are going to be a couple of either retail or restaurants that will be facing the street at the as part of the stadium, right there on Jackson Avenue. So we'll at least get a peek at what all the signs are supposed to look like when, and they're getting pretty close to being finished. They're about 90% done. Should be finished next month. And they're supposed to play ball in April. So anyway, we will have that and whatever else pops up from the Planning Commission next week, and that will just about do it for this episode of Compass Points. I want to thank Lord Seth for all your fine production work. Appreciate you, Seth, and also Will Wright, who provides our music for us. And I want to thank you folks for listening. We'll be back next week with another installment of Compass Points.
CompassKnox.com is your best source for news and politics in Knoxville and Knox County. If you'd like to learn more about the topics discussed on today's podcast, go to CompassKnox.com and subscribe for in-depth coverage and much more.
And many thanks to William Wright for composing our theme song. Compass Points is a partnership of Barking Shark Media and Barbarian Productions, and recorded by Lord Seth A. Barber at Barbarian Studios, Knoxville, Tennessee.